introduction while everybody's putting in the chat box where they're from. My name is Heather Brooks, and we have Eve Hill. We are EXP Seniors Network, your board members. I was one of the co-founders of EXP Seniors Network many years ago, and I have been working and educating our real estate agents, both in EXP and out of EXP, on all things senior related. It is my niche. I love it. I love talking about it. So if you ever need anything, I'm here. Eve Hill is also on this. I couldn't do anything without her. She's been amazing. And I have an amazing guest today that I'm so excited to announce. I'm going to let people keep coming in because I know we've got, I know we're still about a minute. We're about a minute in. Again, welcome. Chuck and I were just talking about a little bit about our backgrounds. Chuck is out of Arizona. He's in Gilbert, Arizona. And he really comes from a background in the senior care industry. He started one of the first senior care, I would say the first senior care placement service provider that's nationwide. It's called Care Patrol. And he franchised the system, was in it for many, many, many years. And in 2020, he started Majestic Residences. And was just recently written up in Senior Housing News as following the McDonald's of senior living, of model of small home franchising and senior living. He is going to be set to open up 300 homes for his portfolio in the next 5 to 6 years. And if you're thinking about helping him buy homes, you got to go through Eve and I. Anyways, he, in his free time, Chuck, I just got to put this out there. You serve as the city councilman for Gilbert, Arizona. I applaud you for all of that you do for the senior community and for being involved in the community, because one of the things that I preach all the time is getting involved in your community. The more involved you are in your community, the more connections you make, the better it is. The better you are at what you do, the more you learn. But today, Chuck Bongiovanni, please help us out here. Everybody, Chuck Bongiovanni.
Hey guys, thanks, Heather. I appreciate that. I wouldn't recommend politics, though. That's getting a little too involved, a little too quickly, shall we say. It's great to be on today or tonight. Right now, it's today in Arizona. It's probably tonight for people there on the East Coast. And I want to share with you today about Majestic Residences and what we are and what we offer, and also how we can work together. So I want to start by talking about the franchise model to begin with. What is residential assisted living? We're going to talk about what the typical home looks like that I want you guys to find for me. And then we're going to talk about the investor model. So just FYI, these are usually 3 completely different presentations. So I'm feeling a little schizophrenic today, doing all 3 of them all at one time. And I don't even think it's going to go too long, but I want to just be able to explain what this all is and open up for questions. And my guess is you'll probably have a lot of questions that I haven't included in the presentation. So I'm going to start with, what is a residential assisted living home? And I have to move there we go. Okay. A residential assisted living home is kind of like what we'd say a nursing home, but in a smaller residential neighborhood. So they're fully licensed by the state to care for seniors on a full-time basis. So this isn't like where a caregiver goes into a senior's house. This is when a senior moves into a home. We can open up 6 to 16 residents, depending on the state. Give you an idea. States like Texas, you can have 16 people. Arizona's 10, North Carolina, North Carolina 6, California 6 also. So the state does put limits on us as far as how many residents can live in one of our homes. It's not a nursing home. but our residents really need help with overall supervision. They can't live by themselves. A lot of them have memory issues. I'm going to go over a couple of slides what the typical client looks like and presents to us. Now, here's the crazy thing. There's over 30,000 of these things across the nation. I'm willing to bet you that if you gave me your address, I could find a residential assisted living home within a mile or 2 miles from your home anywhere in the nation. So these aren't the big assisted living places that you see on on the main streets of America. Same concept, taking care of the same kind of person, but in a regular residential neighborhood. So our franchisees charge anywhere between $4,000 and $8,500 per month per resident to be in the home. They have to hire a manager or administrator to run the home. They have to be licensed to do that. So that's between $30,000 and $60,000 for that position. And they have to have caregivers 24 hours a day. Usually our caregiver ratio is one caregiver per 5 or 6 residents. So if you have, let's say in the home, there's 10 residents, our franchisees will probably have 2 residents working the morning shift, 2 in the afternoon, and then 1 overnight. And that's again, 24/7 continual caregiver in the home. Our typical client, 84-year-old woman, because there's more women than men, because you women tend to kill us at an early age. I'm just kidding. They're going to have some mobility issues. They're going to have some memory decline also. They're not the golden girls. So if you have in your head a vision of 8 seniors living in a home together and they all get in a car and they go to Walmart, that's not what these kind of residents have in our homes. They all need help. It is a non-medical model, which means they need help with bathing and dressing and medication management and those kind of things. However, if they do have medical needs, all medical needs are performed by certified Medicare home health agencies that, of course, Medicare pays for. So let me give you an example. We have a resident who fell in her own home, broke her hip. She goes to a hospital. The hospital does the surgery. After that surgery for rehab, they'll probably send her to a rehabilitation nursing home. Now, during that time that she's in the nursing home, they're going to determine, can she take care of herself at home by herself, of course. And if the answer to that is no, and there's not a family member that can live with her, then they would recommend to the family that mom goes and finds a assisted living place, whether it be a large place or a smaller place like ours. So our homes specifically are very high tech. How high tech? Let me tell you. We're the only ones in the nation that utilize a system that uses radio waves to determine whether an adult brief or an adult diaper is wet or not. It's crazy technology. It alerts the caregiver via phone. It actually documents what time there was an accident or an incident, how long it took our caregivers to change that brief. And so we can take a look at the time patterns, and over time, we can determine if Mrs. Johnson usually has an incident between 1 and 1:30 in the afternoon, we can change our staffing so we make sure we get her to the restroom during those times so she doesn't have those accidents. All of our homes have electronic medical records, just like hospitals do. That is unheard of in the shall we say, mom and pop residential care home industry. So we have software to run the home, programming, activities, operations. We do a lot of the marketing for our franchisees, and also training and ongoing training. So a little bit about who we are as an organization. We have over 75 combined years of experience in operating assisted living, marketing, and franchising. My last company was a recipient of the Franchise Satisfaction Hall of Fame. That takes 10 years to even be considered to be part of that. So we were very proud to be recipients of that award. And we've won over 60 franchise awards with my last franchise system. And we're on our way with with Majestic Residences. Like Heather mentioned, we were chosen as one of the top providers to watch in the nation. No care home, smaller home has ever made that list. They add this list every year. So we were real proud to be part of that. Okay, so that's the model. So let me explain to you what kind of homes that we need. And then I'll talk to you about, finances for those homes. So what we're looking for these care homes and for our franchisees, again, hoping to utilize you guys to work with our franchisees to find homes for them to turn into residential care homes for us. We're looking for homes. It depends on the state bed limits. Remember, 6 to 16. We're looking for ranch level homes. And I know right now I have a lot of people looking in Dallas, and Dallas seems to just have 2-level homes all over the place. So we're looking for ranch level homes. Usually 4 beds, prefer 5 to 6 bedrooms. And let me explain how this works. Let's say you have the example I have right on the screen there, that originally was a 5-bedroom home with a garage. So what we do is we can turn the garage into 2 or 3 more bedrooms. Our master bedroom in the home is usually always a semi-private room, meaning for husband and wife or 2 women. And a 5-bedroom home, 6-bedroom home usually has a 3-4 car garage, so we can get more bedrooms out of there. But we can start with a 5-bedroom home and have at least 8 residents in them. And the beautiful thing about it is that HOAs can't stop us. There's a little law that you guys, I'm sure you know, it's called the Fair Housing Act. It's a real small law. And that prevents HOAs from blocking us or saying that we can't, quote unquote, run a business in the neighborhood. Now, the only thing an HOA can do is demand that we keep the garage door on the home. And that's fine, because what we'll do is we'll build a false wall behind the garage door, punch out some windows so we have egress and we're in business. Minimal modifications are needed, which is people say, they expect the whole home to be ADA. It doesn't have to be. No state says they have to be ADA compliant. It's great if they are. We usually convert the garage door to bedrooms, and then we usually convert 1 bathroom into 1 very large shower. So we keep the commode, we take out all the cabinets, have a freestanding sink, take out the bathtub, tile the thing from, floor to ceiling. So it looks like 1 big spa or one big shower. And that's the room that our caregivers will shower the residents in. The residents do not take their own showers because of safety reasons, of course. So modification really isn't much. We estimate between, $80,000, $120,000, maybe, depending on how much it costs to make those rooms. Our franchisees are looking for homes, between $500,000 and $800,000. Again, renovations that they'll put into the homes themselves. And then they pay a franchise fee to us, $49,500, to walk them through the whole process, get them licensed, help them. I don't want to say design the home, but give them recommendations for maybe what walls to knock down, where we can build some more bedrooms. So that covers the licensing, all the programming, all the training and those things. They pay us a 6% a month ongoing royalty. Now, we are in the process of starting, actually 2 weeks away from starting a Reg A Plus fund. We're looking to raise $45 million, and we're working with a very good marketing company to do that very quickly. We're reserving $22.5 million for purchasing homes. So how it works is that once we have a franchisee who is interested, they go through a process with us to determine whether they're appropriate or not. At that point, they go start looking for homes. So our hope is that at that point, we can connect them with you guys, since you'll already know exactly what we're looking for in a home, to work with them to purchase that home. Now, they can purchase it normally through maybe SBA, and believe it or not, SBA will pay for the property and the business in an SBA loan. I've heard it's different. You can't get an SBA loan to buy a house and rent it out to a family, but in this case, you can use SBA loans for the business and the property. And so they can do that. They can go through a bank if they want to, or they can go through our Majestic funding partners, where we'll actually purchase the homes ourselves and then lease them back again, kind of like the McDonald's model. So we will lease them to franchisees. So here are the areas where we have, I think, the most need, and this is usually based on state regulations. If you notice, way up in the East, it's more difficult to open a residential care home than it is in the West Coast. And it's because of laws. And to be very honest with you, I think the Nursing Home Association is pretty strong in the East Coast, and they make it very difficult for us to open up the homes. For example, we just learned today, Michigan is trying to pass a law that says you have to have a nurse on staff 24/7 for a group home, which is financially, they just can't do that. So of course we're fighting that one. But so here are the states that we have the most need, especially I want to say right now, Texas and Florida seems to be really big for us right now. So I want to talk to you now about, let's say you have investors that are looking for homes and they're using you to find homes that they want to lease out to families or whatever. Here's a great reason why we believe that one of our franchisees is a much better tenant for an investor. One, of course, is high tenant turnover can kill an investor's cash flow. You know, our franchisees are in it for at least 5 years. We have a 5-year franchise agreement. So once they find a home, they're not moving with their residents. You know, they're not going to you're not going to have an empty place once they sign the contract. And again, they have an option of continuing with the franchise system for an additional 5 years and continuing. Many of the investors that we've spoken to work with our franchisees to purchase the home 5 years after they do it. So it's at least a own situation. We don't have to worry about late rent. You don't have to worry about anyone leaving in the middle of the night with your refrigerator and your copper in your homes either. You know, you don't have to worry about paying late because they will pay on time, because we're also looking at them and their leases, and are they paying on time also. It's a very stable cash flow for them, since families are billed on the first of the month. And for a potential investor, you know, we do an extensive background on our franchisees before we before we award them a franchise. Now, when I say award, I mean this: no one can buy a franchise from us. We award every franchise. So we give them business acumen tests and interviews, and we put them through a system, a process with multiple steps. And what we're looking for is that potential franchisee skipping steps? Are they taking shortcuts? And those kind of people will disqualify. So the investors are only getting the best of the best, who we believe will be successful, because we don't want to award a franchise to anyone who won't be successful, because that hurts our brand. We're also monitoring the homes themselves. So our director of ops will say, okay, it's time for a walkthrough, and they'll do a video walkthrough of the home, make sure it's staying, in good pristine shape, of course, especially the landscaping and inside, and making sure that there's no, scrapes against the walls because of wheelchairs. So we keep these homes in top shape also. And that's because we know that a first impression is very important when a family goes to look inside these homes. And because of that, it's a great opportunity for an investor to make sure that his home or her home isn't getting beat up through the years. Neighborhoods, we don't have to worry about loud parties, because I don't know any of our residents who've had a crazy party yet. We don't have to worry about not being a good neighbor because the home isn't being abused. There's, again, there's no crazy things going on. Our residents don't drive. So even if we have 10 people in the home, 12 people in the home as residents, you're not going to see multiple cars. You're not going to see ambulances and all that kind of stuff, which is what everyone complains about, but they just doesn't exist. And then the cool thing is that families can move their mom or dad in and be right down the street from them too. So that's one of the advantages also. To give you an idea what a typical deal looks like, we ask the investor to give what we call normal rent for the first 6 months, meaning what they would normally charge a family if they just did a single family rental. Then we do a little bit of a wrap up, a small increase in rent for the first 3 months after they're licensed, because it does take some time to get licensed. And then after those, on the 4th month of their license, then the premium rent could come in after that for the remainder of the 5 years. Now, to give you an idea of what a typical deal looks like, now I'm going to remind you, this was 2 years old. This is so we know that houses have gone up in 2 years, but this is one of our homes in Dallas, Texas. It was about $1 million home, 8-bed facility. They did convert the garage and those kinds of things. I know the Zillow estimates aren't always accurate, but again, remind you, this is 2 years old. Back then it was about $4,300 a month. The person here was renting to our franchisee, leasing to our franchisee on a triple net at $7,500 a month. My guess is it would be more right now. I probably put it at 85 right now. Guys, that's really it. I'm going to open it up for questions. I know I covered kind of a lot of it, a lot of different kind of angles, but I'm interested to find out what questions you have on all different angles, whether it be as an investor, as a franchisee, or helping us find the perfect home for our franchisees.
I love that you went through that. Thank you so much. I'm going to actually ask people I think there's a raise your hand that you can raise your hand and you can pop on and talk so we don't get all these people talking. But there are stuff in the chat box that I did see. Somebody wants your slides because they,
Sure.
So if we can get that. Mickey said, are the rent increases compliant with state mandates on rent increases?
We haven't received any issues that have to do with that. I mean, what I've noticed is the investors have the rent, they come up with the rent, it's for the 5 years. So they're not necessarily increasing them. Doesn't mean you can't, but what we've noticed is they keep it pretty stable. Steve is curious about the dimensions. Can you enlarge a floor plan, or what are your dimensions? Did you just say I have dementia? Dimensions. No. Okay, bedrooms for you. Well, I mean, you got to remember every state's different, but I'm going to tell you most states, bedrooms have to be at least 120 square feet. And for 2 residents, I believe it's between 150 and 180. I've seen people take master bedrooms and put walls in the middle of them, make 2 bedrooms. The biggest asset is that garage. If there's a big enough garage, you can get a good number of bedrooms in the garage. Lisa would like to know, what is the minimum investment for an investor to participate in the Reg A? Oh, good question. Boy, you might have stumped me. I think it's 500, I believe. Okay. How are utilities handled? Who pays? The franchisee pays all utilities. And these are standard triple net leases, I take it? Yeah, usually. I mean, we sometimes ask, hey, look, if they're not going to buy the house, they don't want to buy a new roof either. So, those kinds of things, just the major things. So is there a list of cities and states you're looking for properties, and is it updated? Shannon can probably get that to you. It changes all the time. I mean, at any one time, I'm talking to 70 people. And what we've noticed is that what's stopping them all is financing. So when we get the Reg A plus, I'm sure that's going to help a lot. And, hopefully, I don't know. I don't want I guess we're praying for a better, economy for all you guys. So whether that be homes going down in price or interest rates going down. But, we started this in the middle of COVID. So I figured if we started it in the worst period of time for residential care homes, we can wait this whole thing out and do really well later on the back end, because demand is not stopping. Remember that, if a franchisee is having a hard time buying a house, that doesn't mean that people that are aging just stop aging. There's a pent up demand right now. And when this thing turns, whether that be us coming up with our 22.5 million or, the housing market becomes a little better, these things are going to be popping up left and right because they have to.
Steve said, I saw that Nevada was gray. Are you not purchasing in Las Vegas or Southern Nevada at all?
That's one I didn't change, but yeah, we are opening a home in Nevada. We're hoping within the next, we're going to be closing the deal like any day now. So hopefully in the next 3 to 6 months.
Yeah. Let's talk about what sets Majestic apart from other types of places. I mean, yes, the technology and everything else, but when you're doing certain things in your homes, is there something that's consistent, whether it's a certain games or certain things that you bring into a home?
Yeah. Yeah. We're very heavy on our culture. We know that. I'll give you an example. Our caregiver, we don't even call our caregivers. They're called resident ambassadors because they deserve the respect. We have what we call our welcome home values, with the word home being the most important, because that stands for honest care, observant care, memorable care, and empathetic care. So we're really heavy on culture. We actually have street signs in our homes that say like empathetic way and those kind of things. So our caregivers, our resident ambassadors, see that on a constant basis. And a quick franchise story about that. David, oh God, what's his last name? The Wendy's guy. He's passed away, of course.
Thomas?
Yeah, Thomas. Thank you. David Thomas was famous for having the hamburger square. And this secret was never out until he died and his daughter told the whole world, which franchise people were mad at her about. But the question is, why are Wendy's burgers square? And everyone says, well, there's more meat or they can package better. David Thomas made every hamburger square on purpose because he had a culture that said, well, first of all, how many hamburgers do employees look at every day? Like a lot, right? So he had a culture that said, you know what? At Wendy's, we don't cut corners. Brilliant culture and marketing of them.
That's amazing. I've got more ones. What type of person lives in assisted living? Are there age requirements, if any? I know you touched on some people that would be residents in there.
Yeah. There's really no age requirements because we don't do HUD housing, ramifications of those laws. It really is. Think of someone who just can't live at home alone anymore, whether they're falling or they're a risk for falling or they're taking the wrong medications, or, hearing blind, those kinds of things. But it's just when it gets to a point where, they can't live at home anymore. You don't ever want to put them in a nursing home. I mean, these days, nursing homes are the sickest of the sick. So it's a good little step up. It's not necessarily that little old lady who plays shuffleboard and, could care for herself, maybe needs a big assisted living place for meals and those things. But our residents have a lot more dependency on us on a daily basis.
Would you consider building from the ground up?
Yes, we do have some that are doing that actually right now. We have one gentleman, I believe he's in Tennessee, who bought a 2-acre property. The home on it was like 2 bedrooms. And he's building 16 bedrooms onto it. And he did that. It was smart. The reason he did that was, I don't know whether it was just his state, but I believe in Arizona also. And it might be, I'm not a realtor, so it might be all states, but by buying a home already existing, I believe he only has to keep one wall up.
Yeah.
He gets to save himself a ton of time.
Yeah. Okay, so this is a really good one for those states that you don't have ones that are open or that you're having issues. How could we as agents help, or how could we find it? I know that Virginia, how do you open ones in Virginia?
Virginia is actually a good state to open in because Virginia and Texas, because they do not require, you can't get licensed until you have 3 residents. So they can buy a house, furnish it, and rehab it or whatever if they need to, and they're in business the next day. So until they have their 4th residence, the state won't even come out and do their licensing. So they save maybe 6 to 8 months as opposed to other states.
So do you have different level types of homes, from independent living to memory care? Certain
No,
homes?
most of our homes are assisted living or memory care and both memory care. Most people in assisted living have some kind of minor memory care, but we do have some homes that have just memory care too.
Renovation costs usually run about 80 to 100,000. How much are restoration costs at the end of the lease?
Probably not much. I mean, honestly, they keep these homes in pristine basis because, if they need a resident and a family comes through the front door, the place needs to look great from the outside to the inside. Our homes do not get beat up at all. We won't allow that.
What about food and daily maintenance of the home?
Paid for by the franchisee. We actually have a contract with a franchise system called True Blue, which are handymen, handymen. And so we have a national agreement with them to come into our homes and once a month and just look around. And I'm really happy with that because if you're in the home every day, right, you're not going to notice scuffs. You're not going to notice damage, but someone comes in once a month, they're going to notice, especially if they're looking for it because they get paid for it. They're going to find those things.
Right. That's a great idea.
Thanks.
To partner, to do partnerships. Mickey wants to know, are rural properties of interest, or do you prefer neighborhoods that are closer to amenities, hospitals, and other things?
Yeah, usually more populated areas are better. But when we work with our franchisees and they live in a rural area, we'll take a look at what's within a 15-mile radius of them. Because if someone's in a rural area, the family's probably used to driving. So we take them all on a case-by-case basis.
Okay. Steve Matthews wants to know, what kind of expenses and revenue and therefore profit margins can a franchisee hope for? Okay.
Now, there's federal laws that I have to follow. So I'm going to tell you as real estate agents, not as a potential franchisee, because as a potential franchisee, I can't give this information out. So they can expect really any size home. Well, 16-bed homes more profitability, but let's say an 8 or 10-bed home, they can expect the last 2.5 beds to be profit. So if you're charging $6,000 a month, you're looking anywhere between $10,000 to $15,000 profit once you're full. Now they have to be capitalized until they hit their break-even point. But we tend to fill homes pretty quick, much quicker than doing this on your own. Much quicker.
I see you're like a 91% occupancy rate.
Now, homes that have been with us for more than 6 months are at 100% right now.
Yeah. I mean, and that's pretty amazing. The other thing that I do realize is not many people know that this is out there, like that this is another option. I here at EXP in our seniors network, I train our agents and educate them on all the options because there's so many out there. It's like, I always say, it's not your granny's grab bar anymore. It's the same thing with senior housing. And this model, I always call maybe boarding cares where
that's in California. Yeah.
Yes. Because in California, I've helped facilitate a couple sales of boarding cares in California. And I will tell you, it is lucrative. Yes. However, it's an amazing model that nobody really understands and knows about. And especially for those of us that are the sandwich generation. And I say that because we are the ones who don't want to put our parents there, and who have the parents who don't want to go to places like that, or to big box type facilities or communities or care places, that they want to be in a home still. So you're still giving them that home feeling.
Yeah. And see, the big places, they have the money to hire marketers to go out, and plus they're on main street. So that also helps too, which was another reason why we wanted to franchise, because there's no standardization across the nation of these small homes. So our concept, our branding concept basically is we're going to be the biggest of the smalls. So our marketing materials looks just like the big boxes. They're not like handmade or home printed brochures. It's a big difference. Yeah.
Is there federal assistance that's out there?
There's long-term care insurance, or private pay. Medicaid does pay, for residents to come to our homes. They don't pay as much as some states do very, very well. But most states, I want to say 90% of the states, they'll supplement, but they won't, pay the whole thing. Medicare does not pay for assisted living at this time. There's talks about paying for the first 20 days or something like that, but that's a little ways down the road.
You mentioned that you have partnerships with True Blue, and I was curious about partnerships with other things that might. Do you have a standard? You have different kinds of homes. People buy all different kinds of homes, but do you standardize the interior? Do you have partnerships with manufacturers of, say, grab bars or curbless shower systems?
That's our next level, right? Probably furniture first, but yeah, that's our next level. Is that and the grab bars and all the DME equipment. Yeah.
You know what big, huge brand is right now making accessible furniture, and it's beautiful?
What's that? Who's that?
Head Eve.
Pottery Barn?
Pottery Barn.
Really?
Pottery Barn right now has a huge line of accessible furniture, and it's beautiful. It really is. They're making things look, like I said, it's not your granny's grab bar anymore. It doesn't have that cold look and that look. When you are describing the shower, making one big shower, it can be a spa. And I think it's the thought process that people don't realize, that you can make things look aesthetically pleasing as you age. It doesn't have to look, like, the way it used to look 50, 60 years ago. But this kind of a model in a home is something that nobody knows about. And so now that real estate agents know about it, which is why I love being able to give all of this information to real estate agents, that we can start looking at our own neighborhoods for homes that fit your model of what you're looking for. Or I will tell you, there are homes in your neighborhoods that are already up and running, and they may want to sell.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, Chuck needs and wants those.
Yeah, we love those because they're already licensed. So our franchisee comes in, does a license change, and they're already up and they're operating. And I'm finding that right now. I'm glad you mentioned that, Heather. Most of my newer franchisees are doing exactly that. So, I talked to one real estate agent once and said, you know what? Hire someone really cheap and just call care homes every day and just find out if they're interested in selling.
So I'm going to give everybody a tip on that already.
Yeah, cool, good.
The next thing is licensing in Southern Nevada is difficult. Do you have a streamline or secret sauce for getting through the red tape?
Yeah, we have an attorney on staff, and usually when anyone calls a state office and says this is an attorney for Majestic Residences, they call us back pretty quickly. We get things taken care of.
And then if we come in to pair a seller with Majestic. Yes, Tina. Yes. Okay. So, the next thing I was going to say on that note, that you were talking about ones that were already there. So here's a secret tip on how you're going to find these. Every one of our states has a state licensing board that has like a list. Every state, California, we all have them. And it tells you where all of these places and what counties they're in. And it will even go to how many beds there are. I suggest you look through your state's website and just find state information on assisted living facilities or coined an ALF. I know in California, we call them boarding cares. So you may want to look boarding care, but I do know that they are on a state website. You may not get every single one of them, but if they are licensed, they will have to be on a state website. It will have to be public knowledge.
Let me throw a tip on top of a tip.
Go for it. We love more tips.
When you call them, don't ask them if they're interested in selling. Ask them if they have a friend who's interested in selling. And I'm gonna tell you why. Because these people do not want anyone to know that they're going to sell. They're afraid of all their residents moving out. So if you say you're calling to see if you have a friend who might be selling their business, they may say no, ask for your information and call you right back just to make sure you're legit. I've seen that happen a number of times. Even my franchisee did that once. And the lady called him right back and just checked him out first because they don't want people to know that they may sell.
Yeah. I agree with you. So the reason why he's saying this is because what happens is the residents could flee, which brings down the price of that business. You want to sell the business with beds full. You want it, if you're going to sell it to a franchisee, you already want people in place so they don't have to fill it again. Chuck, what other things can you give us? Is there a place where you really need something like, or an area where our agents can start scouring for you? I know you said Texas, but Texas is a really big state.
Yeah, Heather, you know what I would love to do, and this just came to me, and I didn't duck when it was coming at me. I took it like a man. Is when we interview a new potential franchisee, and Shannon's on the call, I believe, so she can. Shannon's a person you're definitely want to talk to and get to know. At some point in time, while they're through our process, we can introduce them to you pretty quickly. And I think that will work for us too, because that'll kind of motivate them to keep moving, through the system. Knowing that like what I do, I ask them all, what's the name of your home going to be? From my very first call, what's the name of your home? And I find that those who already have a name of the home close much quicker than those who didn't have a name, because it was put in their mind. Now I have a name, and wow, I found a cool home. So let's make this a little quicker. So Shannon and I can discuss what is an appropriate place for them to connect with you guys.
Well, so we have a place so our company is in a virtual world. We don't actually have offices, and we have a place called Workplace. It is by Facebook Meta, and we live in a virtual world. We have virtual avatars, and we also communicate through Workplace. We do have a company thing where we can just put a folder into an area where people can put their names in, and we can give you all of that information. So you already have somebody there ready to go, and we can put you in touch with them immediately. Okay. So that connection's already done and we'll be happy to help you. Okay. Why don't you guys just give me a little email on the side? And then I'll connect with her tomorrow morning and put something together for everybody on this. And then you guys can just pull names from there when you need something, or tell me, and even I will do an email introduction with you and all the agents.
Cool.
Okay. Yes, the recording will be up on our DEI EXP YouTube channel. It will also be in Workplace, all over the place. We have emails. Thank you very much. Is any other questions? Anybody else?
Could be up today, okay.
Oh, Morgan Johnson, thank you so much. So anybody who doesn't know Morgan Johnson, she is the back end in for our company. She's the one who's really watching what's going on around here and helping us with funneling people into the room. Thank you so much. I appreciate it, Morgan, Eve Hill, and Chuck. I greatly appreciate, Chuck, all of that knowledge that you brought to us. And I will see you in a couple weeks in Arizona. We'll get
Cool.
together.
We have
Sounds
a
good.
question from Tina.
Okay.
Tina,
What did Tina say?
scrolling to find her again. She's saying, as an agent, where will we fit into the model? Will we represent the seller?
You know what? I mean, that's your business, guys.
You
So
can
that-
do either or.
Either or. I know when we are looking for a home, you'll be representing the buyer, I guess, for on our end.
Yeah.
And then with our franchisees, you'll be representing the buyer, unless you find a perfect home that you can represent both. I don't know how that works on your end.
Yeah.
So,
Dual agency and
Yeah.
or, but like he said, there are so many people out there looking for franchises that you really should start looking at the ones that are in your neighborhood and take his advice on how to approach it. He just gave you like kind of the golden ticket into it. Approach it in that way, and therefore it will really help you out to get your foot in the door. And it's also a connection in the community, even if they don't want to sell. Maybe you'll have a client that will want to move in there, and now you have an extra little place in your back pocket that you're able to recommend to somebody. So, you know, there's a lot of really great senior living options that are coming up. It's not the same as it used to be. And I love that, Chuck, you are on the forefront of changing all of this. I appreciate it.
well, thanks for the invite today. I had a good time with you guys.
You're welcome. So next week we have Fritzy Grodion from Eve. Come on, you want to introduce, because she's on this call.
She is on this call. She's a master educator. She's a certified aging in place specialist instructor. She's an author. She's a speaker. She's an expert in home design for aging in place, and she's going to take us through the house from the doorway and beyond to talk about what's going to help us help the older adults who are either trying to modify their homes or trying to find a home that suits their needs as they age. And so
Yes.
that's next Thursday at 7 p.m.
Anytime.
Pacific, and it's Home Designs for Aging in Place. Please join us. The event link is on Workplace.
Yes. And Chuck, last question. Where do we follow up on Regulation A?
Oh, yeah. I'll just stay in contact with you, Heather, on that.
Okay. I'll
And then
put it out
also-
there.
Also, if you go to majesticresidences.com, I have videos on all of our homes, so you can get an idea what they look like and what to look for us.
Thank you so much, Chuck. I'll talk to you later. Appreciate it.
Thank
Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Heather from EXP. And